Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, coming again today, you're very, very welcome. I trust you enjoyed my last video on Chris Christopherson, and through his song, Why Me Lord, we looked at favour in amongst things that aren't going so well. So I trust you found that one encouraging. Well, we're going from there to a guy that was born in 1983 in Marietta, Georgia. He showed an interest in songwriting at a very early age. He picked up the guitar at the age of 13, and he got involved in leading in his local church at the age of 15. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit more about what that means in a little minute. He attended Stanford University, and he would meet Carrie, his wife, in 2004, and he would marry, and they've now got 4 kids together. Enter Passion City Church in 2005. Now, Passion was actually founded by Louis Giglio and Chris Tomlin in 1997, and these annual conferences have become quite well known, particularly about young people exploring faith, exploring spirituality and Christianity, and very, 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 very big focus on music. Chris Tomlin is Christian music royalty in many, many ways. And to actually found this, you could see a real gap for young people in particular, and it's become an absolutely massive movement. We're going to see some clips from Passion below. So Kristian was approached in 2005 to actually become part of the Passion City Church, and he said, yeah, actually that sounds like a really, really good thing. In 2007, he released the EP Hello, and there's a song of this album, Glorious Day. Now I've got a live clip of this one below. This is the Passion Church in all of its splendour, in all of its power, and all of its engagement. This is what it actually is like. You're thinking, well, is this church? Is it? Well, yeah, it is. And I think one of the issues we've got, I think, with setups like this one is it can become performance really, really quickly. Now, I'm pretty sure all worship leaders, and worship leading is very much the person who organises the flow of the service, picks the songs, and actually leads the songs. That's very much what worship leading is this stage. You've got to actually take yourself up on stage as well, because, you know, you've got to be real, and you've got to realise that you're not performing here, you're actually leading, and there's a big, massive difference between the two. But Glorious Day is pretty amazing. There's a pretty amazing words in this song. Breathing, but not alive. Now, it's an interesting concept, that one, isn't it? We're breathing, but not alive. Which implies an element of holding your breath, I suppose philosophically speaking, for a length of time. You know, you don't want to breathe because you might not breathe in the right stuff, or you might be thinking, well, I'm not living at all. Life is just kind of on hold because trauma's happened, tragedies happened. I know for me, you know, there's been a bit of stuff over the last 12 months to 2 years, which has kind of taken its toll a little bit. But to be able to say, hey, look, I'm breathing. It's a pretty big thing to say. And all of the mindset shift that goes with it, hey, you know, I'm actually enjoying life a bit more. You know, they haven't got this thing hanging over our heads anymore. It's actually really, really good. So breathing in a philosophical sense is very about, you know, being able to live, not just exist, but to live. Now, Glorious Day is very much a tip of the hat to what God's take and part in all of this. You know, he's the thing that he's the person that keeps us going during those times. There's a passage in the Bible, you know, Daniel, where, you know, there's these 3 guys in the lion's den because they wouldn't bow down and worship, you know, a foreign god. Well, they didn't get taken out of the furnace, but they weren't burnt while they're in there. And the concept of being looked after while you're in the midst of it means that you're the one that needs to get through this stuff. You can't be rescued from it because that's not the way it works. You are given the strength while you're actually in there to actually believe there is a chance of breathing again. So this song also talks about failures trying to hide. You know, we fail, we don't like failure. We think, it's not good to fail. It's not good to be identified with someone who fails. So we just can pretend like we didn't. So we try to hide it. How's things? Yeah, things are good. How's work? Work is great. Well, your job's at risk. It's not going great at all. Sometimes we have to face up to these things, don't we? We got to pretend like it actually, well, maybe it is a thing. But there's no hiding failures when glorious day happens. Because breathing means dealing with the stuff that you need to deal with. And then, in your mind at least, it's settled and a little bit calmer, a little bit more relaxed, and so you can actually walk forward breathing. Well, till I met you, basically you is God, and basically saying, well, God knows even before you say these things. Well, why would anybody want to have a relationship with someone who knows you that well? Well, because of love. Love is the thing that is overwhelmingly true when it comes to God. And so your failures are exposed in, I suppose, a very, very safe way. Failure could mean, though, hey, look, you need to go and talk to that person. You may need to say sorry to that person. It may involve a bit of a change in the way that you look at life, the assumptions you make about life. But God's always there loving us first. And so that's the cushioning effect that, being found out by God brings. And so failure is trying to hide till I met you. And then what happens? You go out of the darkness. Failures are in the darkness, where you bring them into the light and there's no darkness anymore. There's no reason for the darkness to exist into a glorious day. Breathing but not alive. Failures trying to hide till I met you, out of the darkness into the glorious day. So look at a live version of that one from the Passion conference below, and there's so much power and conviction in this song, and the way that people just respond and react in certain ways. You just get carried along about it. Now, I'll tell you in a little while. Few years down the track, Kristian would actually struggle with alcohol. For at least 2 years. He cites that he was been sober for 2 years and back in around 2022, but he was totally transparent and open with everybody about that. He was saying, hey, you know what, I'm really, really struggling with this right now, but it's been 2 years and I've been sober. So this is what dealing with failures can do, particularly when you're transparent and open about it, you can actually get over and deal with the stuff that you need to deal with. So, Glorious Day, absolutely stunning song in many, many ways, and one of the favourites when sung in churches. 2008, he signed to Six Step Records. Now, these guys were associated with Passion Church. One of the first artists to be signed with these guys for 8 years or so they could see something in Kristian. And the album Attention, and we've got the song You Will Always Be, talking about God again. We've got a bit of a clip of Kristian talking about the writing of this song, and also a bit of a performance of that one as well. In 2011, the album Mountain Moves got released, and this got to number 64 in the Billboard 200 charts, and that's so how well regarded Kristian is, not just in Christian circles, but in circles in general. So to get that crossover is pretty amazing. Off that album, we've got, not off this album, but we go back to the Christian City movement. We've got a live version of Even So Come. This one's got Chris Tomlin in there as well, so it's good to see those two guys up on stage and to actually see the impact that the Passion City movement has had on the church in America, not just America, worldwide, but also the impact Kristian has had in as well in his own sort of humble way that he goes about doing things. He's a great worship leader and very well balanced in many ways. So this channel goes in all sorts of genres, and it's good to be able to reflect on this guy today. So Kristian's had 2 studio albums and 2 EPs since 2007. So he's coming up to being around for 20 years or so. So that's a pretty good effort. He's also been very, very busy in worship leading and various other things like that. So the links to those 3 clips are in the description below. And I've also included my last video from Chris Christopherson. So if you want to recap on him, feel free. Well, if this is your first time to Life Reflections Through Music, or you've come back for another one, how great to see everybody here today. Well, next time, I'm pretty sure we're going to be rounding out the K's in this series. And so we're up to KY. Now, who's a name that starts with KY? Kylie Minogue. So that's where we're heading next time. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.